Welcome to another video by Stan's Auto Repair. Today is about a no start issue for Dodge Neon. I had a subscriber contact me about their Neon not starting after they've filled it up with gas. Disclaimer, this vehicle, this Neon here specifically, does not have an engine. So the first step I'm going to show you is fuse location. The second step, I will have to go inside my home to the actual engine and show you the area I'm talking about. But go inside, driver's side door, down in this area, pop your hood. Don't need to do that with this one because there is no hood thing. But get your hood up. This should go for about every Neon. Locate your fuse box. You got a little clip right here. Push on that, you get her open. Should be specific on here. We need here. Okay, so this here is your fuel pump relay. So what you're going to want to do, mine's already out, just in case I turn the key when there's a battery in here, the fuel pump don't come out. But what you need to do, if your car's not starting, your starter's good, everything comes back good, it could be your fuel pump. Locate your horn relay, which is 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. If your horn works, pull your horn relay and swap it with this one down here. You do gonna have to turn it around and so it can fit. All right, then try to start your car. If that doesn't work, okay, then you need to check for fuel pressure, okay, because sometimes you won't be able to hear the actual fuel pump itself. All right, also here is another fuse you'll want to check. It's a 20 amp. Just pull it out and look right in here to see if that's blown. This all deals also with your fuel system, so you're going to want to check that one. Okay, and I'm just running a scan real quick. Everything's good. This one here is a starter fuse, so you would look inside there to see if it's blown. That one's actually good. And I believe also your auto shutdown relay, which is right here above the horn. This relay could be bad, so go ahead and you know your AC works, so pull your AC and swap that with the auto shutdown, because your auto shutdown relay could have blown also. Okay, so that's the first step. Check fuses. All right, one day I'll get the engine back in here, but now let's go into the home. Doing some moving around and stuff, so it's a little bit of a mess. Okay, so here's the top of the engine. Let me get the intake. All right, so you're going to be looking underneath the car. I'm on there. No, this is the intake. Okay. Yeah, so you're going to be looking at your car like this. You're going to have wires. You might have a 2.0 valve cover that goes right here that actually connects onto here. And then you're going to have your wire harness. Okay. So, and that would be there because that's the PVC line. So what you're going to do is on the end right here, you have your Schrader valve. Unscrew this, get you, have another person with you, okay? You'll need 2 hands for this. Go right here. Make sure you get a rag or something, like have one hand holding a rag up over while you get this in here, and push on that valve, okay? Yeah, push on that valve. Now, if gas, when the key's on, if gas comes squirting out with high pressure, your fuel pump's working. If nothing happens, then your fuel pump's gone. Another way to check, now if you don't have this on it, because newer model Neons don't, then you need to go here to the fuel line where the fuel line connects. Down here at the bottom, you have these 2 little gray tabs. Push in, and you can pop the fuel line off. Now get you a clear bottle, water bottle, something that you can stick the fuel line into. Have them turn the key on. If your fuel pump is working, you'll get a heavy stream of fuel come squirting out of the line, which I will go back outside to the Neon and show you the fuel line. This fuel line is the same type of fuel line that's even on the PT Cruiser. So, and it's same setup. It's just the PT Cruiser doesn't have a Schrader valve on the fuel rail. Okay, so here's your fuel line that would be connected right here. And as you can see, that's where the connection goes. And you'll push in with your fingers and pop this up. Put this in a bottle, like I said. Have someone turn the key, and if gas comes squirting out of this at high pressure, your fuel pump's good. But if they turn the key and nothing happens, your fuel pump is shot. And I hate to say this, 9 times out of 10, when you fill up your gas tank, your fuel pump goes out. I'm not 100% sure why this is, but it happens that way. Most mechanics I've talked to in the shop, I've never really dealt with a fuel pump going out, because most of the vehicles I buy is either already had a fuel pump changed in it, or the car craps out before the fuel pump even goes. Okay, so but normally fuel pumps go out, you know, once you do a fuel up. I don't know what it is. I've heard that so many times from other mechanics, because the biggest complaint for the shop is, here comes yet another car, bad fuel pump, and a full tank of gas. Because guess what? You got to drop that tank. And a full tank of gas is way harder to drop because you don't want to spill it. And then also you got a full tank, so when you take the fuel pump out after you get the lock key off, now you got to deal with that, because typically when you pull the tank out, there's a little plastic case down at the bottom that actually holds fuel, so you're going to kind of tip that to get it back in there. But if you got a full tank, it's a lot difficult is the thing when you got a full tank. So what some people do is get a pump that can actually, an electric little pump that you can like hook up to your battery, and then they run a hose down into the tank, okay, and then they just pump fuel out. That does take a little bit of time, but that will make, you know, that make changing the fuel pump a little bit easier. Okay, now the other issue you could have is a fuel line's rusted out. Okay, so you want to check your fuel lines to make sure they're not rusted out or leaking. Okay, there's not an inline fuel filter on these Neons, not unless you installed one. The fuel filter's in the tank with the fuel pump in the sending unit. That's all one piece. Okay, Let's see, what else could be? Your fuel line connecting to the fuel pump itself could have snapped off, because those are actually plastic. That could have snapped off. That could be another reason you're not getting any fuel pressure. But you got to drop the tank. You got to drop the tank to even check that out. Okay. Now I'm going to give you a little tip here. A lot of people have a habit of just driving their cars till they're empty. Okay. Now for your fuel pump, just kind of picture yourself. You've went through all day. You drunk some fluids at the beginning of the day, but you don't drink any more fluids the rest of the day, and you work hard. And then at the end of the day, you crash, you tap out, you're done. You feel horrible, you feel sick, you feel nauseous, you feel weak because you're dehydrated. Now think of your car. You've driven that baby around all day. You're on E, you're on empty. You stretch that fuel tank as far as you can get it before you go back in. Then you don't even fill the tank up. You just put maybe a couple bucks in it, fill it a quarter way full, and then drive it again. Now think if you did that to yourself, after a while, your body's going to shut down on you and you're going to end up in the hospital. Because that's what a mechanic is. A mechanic is a doctor. The shop is the hospital. So now you got to take your car to the doctor, but you got to get it to the hospital. So you're going to have to call the tow truck, which is your ambulance, which is going to take your sick car to the doctor, the mechanic, in order to fix it. Okay? I mean, that's basically a good, play-by-play. The only difference is your car's not alive. We are. Okay? So you got to take care of yourself just like you take care of your car. Okay? So here's the trick. Don't ever let your gas go below half a tank. Always keep it up above half a tank. I will also tell you this, you'll get better gas mileage and you'll spend less in fuel if you don't let it go down. Also, your fuel pump will thank you, because fuel pumps are supposed to be submerged in fuel. Just think of a pump that's in a pond of water. You neglect to keep that pond topped off because, hey, evaporation, water evaporates. It's a natural thing. Gasoline turns to fuel, turns to vapors. It eventually does the same thing, and then over time gas gets old, it gets sticky, it gets nasty, it's gross. Then that's when you end up with some other problems. But that takes a while for gas to get to that point. But my point here is this. So you don't run into this problem, keep your gas above half a tank, because that's going to give you pretty good longevity with your fuel pump. A lot of times your fuel pump will outlast the car, especially these days. They make this stuff better than they did in the old days. But even if you look at the old days, people were more cautious of their vehicles because fuel pumps, they knew, had to always be submerged in fuel. You don't want to run it dry. It's like running your pump in your water fountain dry. That pump will burn out, even if it's just a trickle of water going through. It'll work for a while, but then it'll eventually burn out. That's what you're slowly doing to your fuel pump by keeping it below half a tank. But when you even get closer to empty, you're really working that fuel pump. Now, if you could check the heat of your fuel pump when it's a full tank, the fuel pump's relatively cool. But as the level of the gasoline drops, your pump's working harder to pump that, because your pump could be in the center of the tank, the left of the tank, the right of the tank, more forward, more back. It depends on where they put it. Some could be at the side. The older cars have pumps that literally go in the side of the tank, not the top. So the position of your gas tank, your pump also will play a factor on how long it will last and whatnot. So if you made it this far, thank you a lot. Give the video a like. It helps out a lot. I've learned that. Maybe they're finally done with that dude's house. But anyways, so telltale signs of a failing fuel pump, especially if everything else checks out good, is harder starts. You turn the key, it takes a minute to start. Another one could be just stalling. You know, car's good, everything checks out good, but for some reason you're not thinking about the fuel pump, but your car stalls every now and then. Well, that's because it's starving of fuel, because your fuel pump is not giving enough PSI that the car is expecting. So now your computer is retarding the timing and trying to do everything it can to help with fuel. So now it's going to be, because the fuel pressure is low, your computer is going to be sending signals to increase fuel into the injectors. So now your injectors are injecting more. So now it's making the fuel pump work even harder. So in that case, your fuel pump's eventually just going to poop on you. Okay. So as I stated in the beginning, check those. That's pretty much on any vehicle. Check your fuses first. If you can, listen for the hum when you turn your key. Make sure your radio's off, because you don't turn your key, your radio turns on, it's blaring music. You ain't going to hear that fuel pump. Or if you got another person, have them go back there close to the gas tank and listen. Hey, turn the key on. Okay, fuel pump makes a hum. Sometimes, some vehicles, the fuel pump keeps going for so many seconds, like 10, 15 seconds, because it's priming the system, okay? Another trick, okay? Turn the key. Ding, 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 ding. Pause. Ding. Start the car. You want to know what that dinging for is, and then that last ding's for after the pause? That is the computer and the vehicle doing a system check on all the systems, priming the engine, getting the fuel pressure up to regulated pressure. That final ding, ding, start the car. So look at it this way. Red light. Ding, 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 ding. Pause. You know the light's about to change. Ding, green light, start car. From there. Okay. Because everybody just gets in their car. Well, most everybody. I don't. Everybody gets in their car, puts their key in, starts it up, throws it in drive, goes. You keep doing that. You're putting some strain on your fuel pump, because you're expecting it to immediately be ready. And you're expecting your engine and everything in your vehicle to be immediately ready. Some vehicles are made that way, but you have to check your owner's manual. You have to make sure. Because guess what? That salesman, that dealership did not tell you the specifics on how to start your car. But your owner manuals does. All right. That's enough. I've ranted enough. Hopefully the information I've given helps you out. If you still have problems, then it's something that needs to be taken in so it can get hooked up to a scan tool, so they can go through the system and see what's going on. Because if your check engine light's on, you could have something else. Because there is one big major cause of a no start. And this happened to my buddy. He thought his fuel pump went out. We checked, he had a great strong fuel pump. His timing belt broke. The car will crank but will not start. If your car's cranking and won't start, your fuel pump could be out, your crankshaft sensor could be out, your camshaft sensor could be not working, your coil pack could not be working. There's a list of things that could not be working. Okay, so if you do all that with the fuel, you might need to get it to a shop so they can actually get a good diagnostics, because it could be something else. There's a lot of no start reasons for these Neons and their sister, the PT Cruiser. PT Cruiser are more notorious for the no start issues than the Neons, but always remember, folks, if it's broke, fix it. Don't throw it away. Fix it. You all have you a good day, and I hope you actually are able to fix your car, because I know I'm in the same boat right now. I have one car, and if it craps on me, I'm stuck. I'm gonna have to Tasmanian devil throw that engine together, get that in that Neon. But I'm still needing parts for that. That's why that Neon has literally been sitting all these years. I'm getting parts, and some parts are just way outside my budget. 4 years ago, they wasn't that bad, but this now, yeah. So I'll see y'all later in another video. My videos are kind of slow, and you know, funds is a big part of YouTube. If you don't have the money, it's hard to make a YouTube video. And I'm not a big subscriber, you know. I'm also not a big YouTuber, so I don't have, you know, sponsors. I don't have Patreon supporters, because I don't have Patreon. You know, I don't do a lot of videos for what is that, Super Chat, you know, and then you donate. I didn't put up a P.O. box so you guys can send me stuff. I've never done any of that because I've never got a response from anybody saying or asking for that. Sometimes I do wonder if some YouTubers say they've gotten a response from subscribers, or they just open up a P.O. box and then remind you every video that they got a P.O. box, just hoping that you start sending them stuff. I've never done that, because if you guys want to do it, you're going to ask me. It's that simple. But the biggest, best, if you're at this point, now I'm just rambling. The biggest, best YouTuber that I believe out there that I've watched is pretty much 100% natural is watch Wes work. I don't know why that was so hard to say, but you know, I really watch his videos. I look forward to seeing his videos come out. And Diesel Creek, I love watching his videos. Those two seem to be very authentic other YouTubers, you know. So hey, check them out if you haven't. That is WATCHWESWORK and the Diesel Creek. Great YouTubers, love them to death. They came up in my recommendation feed a couple years ago, and I've been watching them ever since. But you all take care, be safe, and keep your car on the road, you know, especially if it's an older vehicle. I've had a few new cars. They're very hard to work on, because half the time you got to put them in service mode. And I have scan tools, but the scan tools for service mode, I just don't see the purpose of it. You know, when I do work on cars, I typically don't work on cars that calls for service mode. Yeah, like change your brakes, put it in service mode, or the car won't even know it has new brakes on. I mean, like, seriously, you know, my PT Cruiser, my Neon, I throw new brakes on it. The car doesn't care if it's new or old. It still stops. But when it has new brakes on, it stops better. Newer cars, bad brakes. Volkswagen's pretty good at this. Put new brakes on, car still stops like it has bad brakes, because the computer doesn't realize it has new brakes. It can't tell. Like, seriously? I mean, my Impala I didn't know this, but I was going through the scan tool for all the component test features, and I found a thing for brake brake change, brake bleed. Like, what? And so I started doing a little research, found out the type of Impala I had. You could damage the car, the brake system, by bleeding it the old way. You know, standing there at the nipple, pump, hold. No, that's not how you do it. You hook your thing up, you hook your bottle up, you have your scan tool with you, you start at the wheel the car's computer tells you to start at. You hit start. Little motor that's inside the ABS system starts working. You can literally hook up the system and go stand by the reservoir to make sure it don't run out. It literally will tell you. It will tell you if your scan tool's good enough to make sure to stand by the reservoir to keep the brake fluid level up. And then the car knows that the air system's been worked. And then it tells you next wheel. And then it does a system check. It literally checks the brakes itself. And it will tell you yay or nay if your brake job's done. Because there's other features that Impala had that I didn't know. I could literally go inside the computer and tell the car the tire size that's on the vehicle, and then it would adjust whatever it needed to adjust for that tire size that was specifically that you can put on that Impala, and it will literally set the TPS sensors for that tire size. What? That's what I'm talking about. Cars have gotten so sophisticated that basic maintenance is out the window. You need a scan tool. I like that Impala because it was very interesting working on it. Like when I had to calibrate the compass, drive around in a circle till the car tells you to stop. Done, calibrated, boom, done. That's hard for some people. I don't understand. Some people's like it didn't work. Maybe you didn't drive in enough circles, or you know, you felt embarrassed, or you quit. I found an abandoned parking lot that nobody goes to because the place is abandoned, and I just drove around in circles until the car told me to quit. And honestly, I didn't record the whole time. It took 5 minutes. 5 minutes of circling. You also got to make sure that the satellite system for the car, because this is through the OnStar navigation system that, you know, that the car gets the compass signal. Make sure you have a good connection to the sky. Don't do it a bunch of tree coverage. But anyways, this video's went on a lot longer than I expected it to. Y'all be safe out there, and if it's broke, fix it.